What's up, everyone? This is Weston at the Travel Trail. Got another video for you today. Today I'm going to be ranking my top 5 coolest ultra prominent peaks that I've climbed, which also happen to be the top 5 coolest peaks I've climbed, period. So yeah, we'll hop right into it. I've already ranked all the 57 ultra prominent peaks in terms of their difficulty. You can watch that video. It's an hour long. We're going a little shorter today. Yeah, we're just going with my top 5. And so starting off at number 1 is Mount Rainier in Washington. Super famous mountain. If you're remotely familiar with mountaineering and climbing mountains, then you've heard of Mount Rainier. Highest point in Washington. Huge, giant glaciated volcano in the Cascades. And yeah, this mountain is so well known for a reason, and that's because it's just really freaking cool. There are a few other peaks on this list, with maybe a similar like percentage of the mountain that's covered in glaciers. I haven't done them yet, but this is the first mountain I ever climbed that had like this much glacier travel required. So that was a really cool experience for me, just kind of learning how to travel on glaciers, crevasse rescue. Thankfully I didn't need to use any of those skills, but crossing over ladders to cross through or cross over crevasses. It was just really exhilarating, really cool. I keep using the word cool. I should probably expand my vocabulary a little bit. But yeah, the whole time you're a little bit nervous about like, okay, I need to like keep moving through this this glacier. Like I don't want to stand here for too long, but you're also just like in awe of like everything around you. So yeah, that's Mount Rainier, unbeatable, unbelievably cool. Just how big it is. I remember just staring at it for like almost 5 minutes, just like, how is this mountain this big? Yeah, it's just extremely amazing mountain, memorable time, and yeah, I hope to do it again someday. All of these ones I'll probably do again someday. Number 2 on the list is Mount Whitney, and there was a time actually where I had these ranked like equally. I couldn't decide which one. I knew that Whitney wasn't cooler than Rainier, but I wasn't sure that Rainier was cooler than Whitney. So I had them tied for a bit, but ultimately I decided like, yeah, Rainier, all the glaciers, just how big it is, like that's got to be number 1. But Whitney is a very close second. Highest point in California, highest point in the lower 48. The thing that makes Whitney so cool, there's a couple things obviously, but probably the main thing that puts it where it is on the list isn't the mountain itself. It's very different from Rainier in that regard. And some of these other ones that are high up on this list is like Rainier is just one mountain, just one huge, massive volcano. Whitney is a big mountain in a huge mountain range. And the views of the range surrounding it, the Sierra Nevada, that's what makes it so cool. I did the 99 Switchbacks route on Whitney. I definitely want to do the Mountaineers route next time I do it. But when you top out on the 99 Switchbacks and you start traversing on the backside of the ridge to go to the summit, you come around this corner where you enter Sequoia National Park, and it's just this incredible view. In fact, I've got like a little... Sorry about that. I tried to unplug my laptop to show you the view that I was talking about, but I guess my Mac did not want me to do that. So yeah, it's just, at that time, definitely the best view I've ever seen. It's just endless, jagged, amazing, like snow-capped peaks. I did it in December, so if you do it in the summer like most other people, probably won't be like covered in snow, but yeah, it was... I don't ever remember seeing a view that was like that vast and like just endless, really cool peaks. And then obviously the mountain itself, Mount Whitney, this giant, like almost 2,000 foot cliff on one side, like very cool individual like mountain to climb, and then just the view of the surrounding peaks and the range made it just, that's what puts it so high on the list, as well as the white granite cliffs everywhere. Just like the rock that this mountain's made out of, in my opinion, makes it look even cooler. Um, yeah, like the white granite is definitely really cool, especially when you're hiking up in the dark and then the sun starts to barely creep up. It's kind of getting light on the horizon. The white granite starts to like glow pink, which most mountains there's kind of some, you get some element of that with like the alpenglow, but I remember it being like times five when I was doing Whitney. So yeah, that one is number two. I would recommend doing it after permitting season. So like normally you need to like win a permit lottery to do it if you do it in the summertime. I did it in December. Wouldn't recommend doing it that late, but if you do it in like late October, mid October, November, you still should have pretty good weather and you won't have to deal with so many people and the permitting lottery. So that is my recommendation for you. Number three on the list. So this one, I actually have them tied. If I had to choose, it's a tie between the Grand Teton and Mount Shasta. If I like really, really had to choose, it'd probably be the Grand Teton. Just because it's a little bit more technical and like I'd say epic of an adventure. You've got to do rock climbing, rappelling, depending on what route you do as well, that could change things up for you. We did the Owen Spalding route, which is probably the easiest, most standard way to do it. And even on that one, there's like some pretty intense exposure. You're going up these chimneys, you're roped up. And yeah, it was just the whole time, like I said, all these mountains probably fall in this classification, but the whole time you're just looking around like in awe, just like, wow, this is like so cool. Yeah, the Teton Range is just unbelievable, and some really cool glaciers. The Grand Teton, like seeing all the other mountains around it, how big they are, and then seeing how much bigger the Grand Teton is, and standing on top of that, looking down on everything else. I remember that just being really cool, and getting down to the bottom after we were done, looking back up at it, it's just like this freaking needle into the sky, and it's just like, how did we climb up that? But yeah, we did it. It was great. Really brutal climb. But yeah, that one, like I said, I have it tied with Mount Shasta. If I had to put one above the other, the Grand Teton would probably go ahead, but it's still technically a tie. So that would put Shasta at number three as well. Yeah, that one's in Northern California. It's very similar to Rainier in just like how big it is, just giant mountain. It's a little bit less prominent, so it's not quite as big as Rainier. I saw some stat that said that Shasta is like the biggest mountain in terms of like the volume of the mountain. I don't know, like I guess that's true, but if you're just looking objectively at like how big Rainier is versus how big Shasta is, it's pretty tough to say that Shasta is bigger, and it's pretty easy to say that Rainier's bigger. So I don't know. I'd like to see some sort of like how they make that measurement. But with all that being said, Shasta is still a freaking huge mountain. And this one, I lived in California for a while. Northern California is like a special place to me, and Shasta is kind of like the iconic like gateway to like Northern California. So there's more like there's more like emotional like underlying like meaning that this mountain has to me. Like I I had like a pretty like emotional like outpouring at the top because I was just so excited to have finally done it. I've been at the time I had wanted to do it for like 3 years, and every year it just didn't work out. And we weren't sure we were going to be able to make it to the top with weather. And then we finally did. I was so stoked, started crying. Um, yeah, Shasta is just really, really cool giant volcano, you know, glaciers, the whole 9 yards, just your classic Cascades volcano, but it's bigger than pretty much all of them, which makes it very cool. And another cool thing about Shasta, at least the way we did it, a lot of people do it in 2 days. They camp at like Helen Lake. We just did it in one day, and that, in my opinion, made it even cooler because it was probably a lot harder than it needed to be. And feeling those feelings of just like extreme exhaustion at the top, and then you just have to keep going. Sorry about that, keep getting cut off. But yeah, Shasta would also be number 3. It's in Northern California, another 14er. Yeah, this one is just for all the same reasons that Rainier is cool. This one is also cool. Like, just giant mountain. Like, you look at it and you're just like, that is so big. Like, how is a mountain that big? And you know, it's got glaciers, not nearly as cool or as many as Rainier, but it's basically just like Rainier, but slightly different looking, and maybe just not quite as big. So yeah, again, for all the same reasons that Rainier was just an epic, really cool mountain, this one is just, and honestly, when I did Rainier, like all of these ones, I have a really hard time separating like which one's cooler, just because they're all like at that top tier level. But yeah, this one also like meant a lot more to me than some of those other ones on the list that I've kind of already mentioned, because this one I planned on doing it for like 3 years in a row, and every time it just didn't work out. And so I was like, I've been wanting to do it for so long, and the day that we did it, we had done Mount Hood. Well, we tried to do Mount Hood the day before. We got stormed off 600 feet from the summit. The weather wasn't looking like super, super good for Shasta. We drove down and did Shasta the next day. So we're already like pretty wrecked from doing Hood. Weather's kind of looking a little iffy. It was like really windy at the top. We get to the top of Misery Hill. It's super windy. We're still like, okay, like we're this far. Like, are we gonna have to turn around on this one as well? And then we just kind of kept going. It was pretty clear that we were gonna make it to the top eventually, and I just like had a moment. I was like just so stoked that we were gonna make it. Started crying. I was like, wow, yeah, like this has been a long time coming. I'm stoked to be here. Wasn't sure if we were gonna make it to the top, and we did. And then yeah, Shasta is also really cool because you can glissade down the Avalanche Gulch, and that was honestly way fun. I didn't expect it to be that fun. I thought it would be like, oh yeah, like we'll save our knees a little bit, you know, save some time. But it was actually way fun. Just make sure you take your crampons off if you're glissading. I had to learn that the hard way. But yeah, Shasta's number 3, I guess technically like number 4, if I had to rank it. But yeah, that one's a great one. Last one on the list, Mount Hood. The Cascade volcanoes are just really cool. There's kind of a theme here you're probably noticing. But Mount Hood, if it were just the first like 4,000 feet of Mount Hood that you climb, maybe it wouldn't be as cool. But the final 1,000 feet is like unbelievable. You climb up the Hog's Back. It's this really cool, like, you know, razor's edge ridge line up to the pearly gates, which are these ice chutes that you like have to ice climb up basically. And after that, it's like a pretty steep, I don't know, like 100 feet to the top. And it was probably the most sketched out I've ever been on a mountain, climbing up the pearly gates. I don't really do ice climbing all the time, so I'm not like super familiar with it, but Yeah, there was like kind of a bottlenecking situation going on with the left gate. Everyone was going that way, and we were starting to get worried about like the sun getting on the upper mountain, the snow and the ice. It was kind of a warm forecast, so we wanted to just get up there and get down before there was a bunch of sun on it because we didn't want ice to start falling on us. Um, and so we were like, okay, let's just go the right way, so the right gate. Um, and we went that way. It was way harder than we expected. There was a reason everyone was going left. But yeah, we made it, got down safe, skied down from Crater Rock. Really fun, really cool way to do it. And Mount Hood's just a really cool mountain. So yeah, those are my top 5. Hopefully you enjoyed. Let me know what you think, and I'll be back with another video soon.